Here comes X's and O's on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network and Vikings.com. Indeed, I am Paul Allen. And this is courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery. A very Merry Christmas week to everybody as Kevin O'Connell, head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, joins us now. And off the Cincinnati game, cliches are cliches because they stand the test of time with accuracy. And what I'm getting at is that Cincinnati game truly was a game of inches, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think you look back on a lot of plays in that game, first half, second half, into overtime, where a little bit better execution, a little bit better job by myself or our coaching staff. It could have been the difference on that particular play. It's always going to come down to our last sequence of downs offensively. I understand that. Or defensively, just couldn't get that one stop to kind of limit their momentum there in the fourth quarter. But that's how we continue to improve and strive to improve. Nothing hurt more than leaving Cincinnati without a victory. We felt like we played well enough to win that game. And you got to credit those guys for finishing in the end. But still an opportunity for growth for our team with a lot of very important football out in front of us here down the stretch. And can we find a way to have our best week of preparation and take on a heck of a challenge with the Detroit Lions coming into town?
Your expectations are super high, so potentially hide the women and children with this question. But for the most part, is it fair to say, Kevin, in the Cincy game, the passing game looked close to what it's supposed to look like?
Yeah, I think, and credit Ty Chandler and our offensive line, our tight ends, for what our run game looked like, because what that allowed us to do is really get back to what we want to be as an offense, which is balanced, really trying to put defenders in conflict to, execute some play pass and some movement game where we can essentially generate explosives without always having to be in the drop back game, and marrying the run and the pass is the way to do that. And I thought Nick, his ability to hit some of those intermediate to deeper shots down the field, whether it was Addison on some of those high crosses, catch and runs, JJ on the dagger cuts, the outbreaking cuts, and then TJ with some monumental plays as well. That's really what we envisioned being. I thought Nick playing in rhythm, seeing it and throwing it, and really taking a lot of the calls that I was able to get to based upon how the game played out, how we were being defended, how they were trying to stop some of Ty Chandler's runs. That allowed us to really get synced up as an offense. Over 300 yards for Nick passing, over 100 for Ty rushing, and it really felt like, outside of a few plays where we either turned it over in the red zone, the execution on some of the previous snaps leading into those plays, a lot to build on, but still, we know our margin of error is very thin, so we've got to find a way to have better execution on those, handful of plays that really define taking what should have been just a really good day on offense and leaves a bad taste in your mouth because we just didn't do enough to win the football game.
And you just touched on a couple of them, but like the nuance of the passing game and running an offense, for an offense that you've said multiple times has been built around the quarterback spot, specifically the way Cousins played in 2022. So with that said, after you watched it back, what are some things Nick did where you were like, hey, he's really in control here, what you need?
Yeah, I think, even, going back to, one of his, or it might have been his first completion of the day, hits JJ on the dagger cut, and the Tampa Mike linebackers kind of out in front of that thing, and you see Nick in great rhythm drive that throw in the window, but also protect JJ with the throw, kind of a lower throw, takes him to the ground by design, so that he doesn't end up taking a shot over the middle. His ability to execute some of the play pass game where JJ is taking one or two defenders with him, and then Addison's running open through some voids, or TJ to start overtime, kind of sinking in and letting him, win versus tight man coverage there versus Hill on the high cross. There was just examples of him really playing quarterback, seeing coverage, going through his progressions. And then there were some other examples throughout the game where, meeting with Nick and going through it, there is more room for improvement, which is exciting considering, he threw for a high 70% and moved the team throughout the day, generated a lot of efficient drives. It's just my expectation is for Nick to just continue to keep improving with more opportunity. And hopefully we can limit some of those negatives and sustain a little bit more for some points throughout the day.
Potential dumb question here. So when you have a quarterback making his first start in years, first start for you guys, and a running back making his first start, is it important to get the running game? I mean, is it imperative to get the running game going early so therefore you get those linebackers and safeties to say, okay, he's going to run a little bit, so the play action has some merit?
Yeah, and that's really, if you were playing quarterback, PA, we would want to do that. It's basically a matter of trying to maximize the effectiveness of your run game. And when for Ty Chandler's first carry of the day, I think went for 8 or 9 yards, and now you're in second and short, and you can truly be dynamic from a standpoint of if you want to take a shot on second and short, you can. If you want to get back-to-back runs or stack some runs to try to lean on your opponent a little bit, get those guys to start activating, filling their gaps a little bit more, and then ultimately there's some play pass chances in behind those guys. When you live, with a lack of a running game, or your running game is not churning out the efficiency on the early downs, it puts it all on the pass game to not only overcome some longer D&Ds, but then you're going to have to play a lot of the game in 3rd and 6, 7, 8 plus, and that's when the scale tips back towards the defense, because they can get dynamic with 5, 6, 7 DBs in the game, pressure looks, and you're really not playing on any sort of the terms that you want. So when you can run it, stay efficient, and ultimately build upon some of those runs with plays that start out looking the same, the guys have to defend their gaps, and then you can ultimately give them that conflict that allows you to get some of those big hits in the pass game.
So with Ty, and his first start, and so many running backs in college just run out of the shotgun every single time.
Yep.
And he had a really nice shotgun run late, right up the middle. Is he, at this stage of his maturation, is he markedly more comfortable running out of the shotgun, or when with the dot or with the eye? Does he handle it all the same?
I think it's going more towards he's handling it all the same. And that's, like you said, it's been a process for a guy. He was a predominant gun runner in college. He did a lot of those things really well for us over the course of the season in conjunction with Alex. We've really seen over the course of the year, Ty has always been somebody we've had a plan for to continue to build upon his workload, because he is so dynamic. We've found some ways of getting him touches in the pass game, which has been critical in the screen game, really trying to activate him in ways that he can have an impact on the game. He went out there the other day, 23 carries, over 120 yards, and had another 3 or 4 touches in the pass game. That's how we envision Ty Chandler continuing to impact the game, not only this week, but moving forward. He's a player we selected for a reason. We've planned on kind of building around Ty, but it's been very important that we allow him and his growth and process of development to play out, so that we can maximize who Ty is and who he's going to become, which is a major part of our offense.
So with Chandler, the more he plays, this year, next year, whatever, is the pass protection. In that game against Denver, Josie Jewell up the middle didn't go the right way. Now in this game, first pass protection, picked it up beautifully. Watched some other shotguns. He's looking for stuff, even though it may not be there. But you had C.J. Ham back there a fair amount too.
Yep.
No slight on C.J., but he's more experienced, and he just probably gets it more quickly at this stage of their career. So with Ty, that would be another step of the maturation. Continue to improve at that, play more, right?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with C.J.'s role for us right now is as really our third down protector. You get all kinds of pressure looks. I think our O-line deserves a ton of credit for their improvement this year. But C.J. Ham, don't know if it's been talked about enough, his role he plays on the third down phase of essentially putting out a lot of fires up there as far as guys get on edges. They attack certain points in our protection, and we've essentially had C.J. filling in some of those gaps as almost a 6 offensive lineman at times with some of the blocks he's had to make. I also think for Ty, it's very rare in this league for a running back to play every single snap in a football game. I know as excited as Vikings fans are about Ty, I mirror those feelings, but we also can't, it's pretty rare to have a guy go out there and play 70-plus snaps and be out there every single snap and take the physical attrition on him that happens when you're a first and second down guy. Even the greatest backs in this league, you think about Derrick Henry's and, some of these guys, a lot of times you're seeing some other players making an impact on maybe the passing downs. I think Ty just makes it very difficult because he can be a weapon in those pass downs. He is improving in the protection responsibility. So I feel more and more comfortable. And it's great that I feel more and more comfortable, but more importantly, Ty is feeling more and more comfortable in every facet of playing running back. It showed up. I'm glad you noticed that, because I thought his protection mirrored what he did in the run game and his impact in the pass game as a ball catcher. So it was a really, really positive day for Ty, big time growth.
Vikings fans will remember even in Adrian Peterson's rookie year, Chester Taylor would come in on third down for the exact reason that Kevin just mentioned. Now, the Lions, the wide receiver you once coached, Josh Reynolds.
Yep.
I mean, he doesn't impact it the way Amon-Ra St. Brown or Laporte or whatever does, but he makes some big spot catches. He's like their big spot guy, isn't he?
He is. The thing that strikes me when you watch them on tape and knowing both Josh and Jared, Jared has 100% confidence in Josh. Contested balls, tough catches over the middle. He's running a lot of those play pass rhythm throws that you see in our offense as well, and it requires a willingness, an attention to detail in the route. But PA, there's still those moments where you're going over the middle, and the rules protect these guys in a lot of ways that they maybe didn't years ago. But it's still awful noisy in there at times, and Josh makes some unbelievable plays in there, and has really developed into being a comfort zone for Jared, like their rookie tight end has. Clearly, Amon-Ra is one of the best in football, and so dynamic and has so much to do with their offense. And then they've got the vertical threat in Jamison Williams back and healthy. So clearly, it's a dynamic group. I think Ben Johnson does a great job on offense. They've got a very good O-line and now two really good backs that complement each other well. So our staff and our defense, they're going to have a heck of a challenge this week. We got to make sure we have a productive day on offense to try to limit the amount of snaps that our defense has to be on the field defending that great unit over there. But we also want to accept the challenge, and it's going to be one. We know that. But that's what it's going to take to go win the football game Sunday.
They hit on that tight end Laporte, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. He's a really good player, and you can see he's got all the physical, makeup you want from a strength, speed, all those things. But he's really got some nuance to his route running and understands zones, how to win versus man, and he's a pretty elite catcher of the football as well. So really good player. Gibbs, we had very strong feelings towards both those players in our evaluation in the draft of both those guys, and credit Detroit for going out and getting them.
Last one. Has their pass rush gotten a boost of late with this Josh Pascal complementing Aiden Hutchinson?
Yeah, and you're seeing Bruce Irvin have some spot roles as well. I think Hutchinson's really developed into a premier player on the edge. He's a guy that can wreck the game if you don't account for him. And then they've got some really nice. You struggle to even call them complementary pieces because they are impact players around him. You take one snap off versus Pascal or Irvin or any of these interior rushers, and they can impact the game greatly. So you got to have a great protection plan. AG's got a very extensive blitz package as well that they like to bring in, Zaloni and some of these DBs, Branch and some of the safeties off the edge. So there is not one snap where you can take a deep breath and think that you can just drop back with ease and you're going to have all day back there. There's got to be rhythm, detail, our protection plan, our running backs, all of the things that make our offense go against the challenging defenses in this league like Detroit. We're going to be needing to fire on all cylinders.
Merry Christmas to you and your family. And that includes your father, Bill.
That's right. Thank you.
Merry Christmas, Bill. This is X's and O's with Kevin O'Connell. I'm Paul Allen. Defensive pass coordinator and DB's coach Durante Jones joins us next on the KFAN Minnesota Vikings Radio Network.